We welcome you back to CBS Mornings. As the war rages in Ukraine and cities are pounded by the Russian missiles, you may be surprised to learn that the nightlife in the country, well, it's thriving. The bars, the clubs, and the restaurants, they are all packed. Charlie D'Agata met up with customers and business owners to find out why the partying has not stopped in Ukraine.
A summer's evening, a sidewalk cafe, smiling friends. It could be anywhere. Except it's not anywhere. Kharkiv is not far from the Russian border and within easy reach of missiles and airstrikes. And while many buildings remain boarded up, the remote yet real possibility of dying hasn't stopped its residents from living. Like 20-year-old student George Soldatenko and his friends Nikolai and Andrei.
Sometimes rockets really just boom, boom at night, and that could be scary. But you know, in the morning, when you wake up, you're trying just trying to have a good morning, your routine, and that's all.
Despite the rockets, Ukraine's nightlife is rocking. The bars and clubs are full. The place is jumping, music pumping, drinks flow freely, and they dance like there's no tomorrow. And it's not just here. Fun fact, there are now more bars and restaurants in the capital than before the start of the invasion.
Shake your ass straight to the battlefield. Shake your ass straight to the battlefield.
For CBS Mornings, Charlie D'Agata, Kharkiv, Eastern Ukraine.
That was very good. It's an actual coin.
Praise Charlie D'Agata. I like seeing that there are pockets of happiness there because we see so much destruction and pain.
Yeah.
We take for granted having a good morning around here, but I like the possibility of dying hasn't stopped the people from living.
Life has to go on, and it's good to see them supporting the businesses also that need to continue to survive as well.
Yet under no illusion. They know
right.
how serious it is.
Absolutely.
Under no illusion, absolutely. Well, look at this. This is for you Ukrainian women. And the reason why I'm showing you this, family, because this is soon coming to a city near you. This is going to come to the USA when they go into battle. So this is what's happening, all right? Just so you understand. So I'm on the all praises to Jehovah, Hashem, Yahushua, Hashem, Rakah, Kodesh, and double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the hopeful elect brothers and sisters and to the 144,000. So I want to show you where I'm at. I'm on the Ukrainian official website, all right? This is Ukraine Today official website, right? The official Coming to Ukraine website. So this is what it says, all right? Government website. On October the 1st, the law, and today is October the 5th, right? 2023. Thursday, October the 5th, 2023. It says on October the 1st, the law on registering women in certain professions for military service comes into force. This is why I said they're going to shake their asses all the way to the battlefield, and it will start in Ukraine where they're at an active war. And these things are going to end up in the United States of America when they go to war against the Russians and the Chinese, all right? It says, find out who the draft law applies to. What will be required of women liable for military service and what they will need to do at the TAC. All right. So there's an official draft that's come into effect as of October the 1st, 2023 in Ukraine for the women. We know the men were being drafted from the beginning of the war, but now the shake your ass to the battlefield women are going to be drafted. Listen to this. It says, Ukrainian women with a medical or pharmaceutical specialty are subject to registration for military service starting in October. Today is October the 5th. But as the armed forces explained, this is not mobilization, but a step to summarize data on the reserve of medical professions. We will tell you who and why you must come to the TAC, right? In October. What documents you need to have with you and who is not subject to registration in the article below, right? So it says, read more about who is subject to extradition from abroad. I didn't even see that. We'll get that up. We'll get it up in a minute, right? It says, read much. See, 1 second, hold on. We'll get up in a minute. It says military registration for women from October the 1st. Who has to come to the TAC, all right? Starting from October the 1st, female medical professions age 18 to 60 must register for military service. This applies to doctors, nurses, midwives, dentists, and pharmacists. Listen carefully. The speciality will be taken into account. The speciality will be taken into account both according to the diploma and the actual place of work. Important, according to Ukrainian law, evasion of military registration during martial law is punishable by a fine of 850 to 700 hryvnias, whatever that is, that must be their currency. For those women who have military-related professions, registration is voluntary, all right? Voluntary. According to the decree, why do women need to go to the TAC? According to the decree, women have to come to the TAC, right, to summarize data on available reserve of medical professionals. However, as explained by the armed forces, in the future, women may be called up for military service or engaged to perform work to ensure the defense of the state. It says such women perform military duty on the equal footing with men. This is the legislation does not distinguish between women and men liable for military service, right? It says, what documents do women need to register for military service? To be registered with the military registration and enlist office, women, doctors must prepare the following documents: application of registration, passport and ID card of a citizen of Ukraine, identification code, a document confirming the speciality and profession, certificate from the place of work indicating the specialty in which the woman works, birth certificate of children, guardianship documents, marriage certificate if available, and 3 to 4 photos. In addition, registration requires passing a medical commission, which must determine fitness or unfitness for military service. To do this, you must be examined by a therapist, surgeon, neurologist, psychiatrist, an ophthalmologist, an otorhinolaryngologist, I pretend that I can say that word, dentist, a dermatologist, that one's easy, and a gynecologist. Which women are entitled to a deferral for the military registration? According to Ukrainian registration, only pregnant women and those with children must also come to the TAC. Right? However, under certain conditions, they can receive a deferral from registration. This applies to even pregnant women and women with children. Got to turn up, mate, to registration for military service. Pregnant women, regardless of period of pregnancy, a pregnant female medical worker will be recognized as unfit for service. Women on maternity leave those raising a child alone or with 3 or more minor children, as well as those raising a disabled child who need constant care, according to the relevant medical report. Women whose husband serves in the armed forces of Ukraine. So it says, can women register for military travel abroad? According to the statement of the government and the Border Customs Service, restriction on leaving Ukraine will apply only to women mobilized to the army. This means that being registered will not affect the ability of a female doctor to cross the Ukrainian border. In order to restrict women's departure, the Cabinet of Ministers must adopt a corresponding decision, but there is currently no such draft law. Right? Remind you, before traveling by car, there are several important details to consider related to documents and insurance, right? Blah, 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 blah. So, time is up for the Ukrainian women. Now, if you think this is not coming to the USA, because America's getting ready for their war against Russia and China, all right? Let's have a look at this. Requirements. This is military.com, all right? Requirements for women to register for the draft back on the table in annual defense bill. This is talking about the United States of America. It says U.S. Marines recruits stand in formation during a training event at Marine Corps Recruitment Depot, San Diego. This picture was taken on March the 9th, 2021. So it says here, a fight over whether women should be required to register for a potential draft has been revived in Congress. Last year, Congress appeared on the precipice of making women register with what's formerly called the Selective Service System. But the idea was dropped from the Defense Policy Bill signed into law after closed doors House-Senate negotiations, despite having bipartisan support, which means support from both sides of the aisle. Democrats and Republicans are up for this. It says now, because they've revived this bill, now the proposal is back in the version of the National Defense Authorization Act, or the NDAA. You know, America loves their acronyms, right? So it says, now the proposal is back in the version of the National Defense Authorization, or the NDAA, making its way through the Senate, and conservatives are again vowing a fierce fight against what they refer to as drafting our daughters. That's what they're getting ready to do. I might even call it that. Drafting our daughters. Shake your ass to the battlefield. No, I like that better. Shake your ass to the battlefield. I'll leave it like that. I might call it drafting our daughters. Shake your ass to the battlefield. Yeah, that's what I think I'll do. That's what I'll call it. The US military has not drafted anyone since the Vietnam War, and defense officials have repeatedly said they have no intention of moving away from the all-voluntary force. But men ages 18 through to 25 will have to register for selective service in case of an emergency catastrophic enough to activate the draft. And I've always said, get ready for the great 9/11 event. There's going to be an emergency catastrophic event that's going to take place. They're getting ready to create this emergency catastrophic event so that this draft can be activated. It says, I say again, but men ages 18 through to 25 will still have to register for selective service in case of an emergency catastrophic enough to activate the draft. That's what they're going to do. If they fail to register, men face consequences such as losing access to federal financial aid for college. Earlier this month, the Senate Armed Services Committee voted 20-6 to require women to register for the draft as part of its version of this year's NDAA. The version of the NDAA advanced by the House Armed Services Committee last week does not contain a similar provision, despite the committee supporting the idea last year. The makeup and political dynamics of Congress have not changed since last year, and the same group of conservative lawmakers who opposed the provision then are vowing to fight against it again. The reality is that if we are a country that actively chooses to forcibly conscript our daughters, we are past the point of salvation. Well, that's a beautiful way to put it, because America is past the point of salvation. Let me read that again, because that rolled off my lips so beautifully reading that. It says here, let me just give you this, right? It says the reality is that if we are a country that actively chooses to forcibly conscript our daughters, we are past, I mean, this is like a prophecy, him saying now, we are past the point of salvation, because America is past the point of salvation. Babylon the Great, the United States of America, is prophesied to be destroyed in the War of Armageddon and the second coming of our Lord, Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. So Representative Chip Roy from Republican Texas wrote in a letter this month to the leaders of the House Armed Services Committee. In a separate tweet opposing women registering for the draft, Roy claimed, without citing specific evidence, that even volunteer women in the military cause the standards to be reduced. In the Senate, 12 Republicans wrote a letter saying including the selective service provision in the NDAA would be a grave mistake and would needlessly inject divisive social policies into important debates over our national security. In 1981, the Supreme Court ruled that a male-only draft was justified because women were excluded from combat jobs, but all combat jobs were open to women in 2015, so they are legitimate targets to be drafted, right? Because all combat jobs were open to women in the army, in the services in 2015. Congress followed that decision by including a requirement for women to register for the draft and initial versions of the 2016 NDAA. It was jettisoned from that year's final version of the law in favor of a commission to study the future of the draft. The commission finished its works in 2020 and recommended that draft registration be expanded to include women. Let me say this again. The commission that was drafted in to study the future of drafting for men and women finished its work in 2020 and recommended that the draft registration be expanded to include women, calling it a necessary and fair step, right? That's what they want, right? Equality, women's right. That's what they're fighting for, right? Women's right, equality, and all of this BS that they keep fighting about. Women's lib and all this, me too, me this. No, that's what they're fighting for, right? They want to be just like the men. Well, here's your chance. The Supreme Court last year declined to revisit the issue, citing the expectation that Congress would soon act. With the Commission's recommendation providing support, lawmakers tried in last year's NDAA to require women to register, but despite being in both the House and Senate versions of the bill and having the bipartisan support, the requirement was again dropped from the version of the NDAA that got signed into law amid adamant opposition from a small but vocal group of conservatives. After last year's defeat, supporters of female draft registration vowed to keep working to update the selective service requirements. To say only men are needed in that moment of national emergency is outrageous and obscene, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat, New York, said at a news conference after last year's NDAA was finalized. It says, in a statement this month, Gillibrand highlighted the selective service provision, which is a draft, in this year's NDAA as one of the important programs and measures that are now on their way to becoming law. Well, praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. So they're getting ready to make it lawful for women to be drafted alongside men in the US once this emergency catastrophe takes place. And they're getting ready for it. They're getting ready for the 9/11 event. So after all that said and done, a couple of scriptures, and then we're going to shut this down. I just want to bring that out. Because all of this, the reason why I started with Ukraine, because they thought it was never going to happen in Ukraine, that they were never going to draft women. Well, it's the law in Ukraine. The women are being drafted in Ukraine. The same thing they're thinking over here in the US. It's never going to be drafted. You're right. Even in Europe. Europe is going to probably do the same thing. Never going to be drafted. Well, you women want equality. You're going to shake your asses to the battlefield, right? That's what you're going to do. You're going to shake your asses to the battlefield. And what battlefield is that? It's this battlefield here. This battlefield we're going to go to. Let's go to Joel chapter 2. I went to Ezekiel chapter 4. This battlefield here that's going to take place. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. I'm curious what this says in the NLT, right? Because sometimes it gets a bit spicy in the NLT. Sound the alarm in Jerusalem. Jerusalem are the true children of Israel, the elect, right? Raise the battle cry on my holy mountain. Let everyone tremble in fear, because the day of the Lord is upon us. What is the day of the Lord? The day of the Most High is the war of Armageddon, World War III. right? Which is going to usher in the second coming of our Lord, Yahushua, the Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. It is a day of darkness and gloom, a day of thick clouds and deep blackness. Suddenly, like dawn spreading across the mountains, a great and mighty army appears. It's gonna be such. Let's read that again, man. That is just so beautifully composed by the prophets. It says it is a day of darkness and gloom. That's what the War of Armageddon is going to be. A day of thick clouds, of deep blackness, suddenly like dawn spreading across the mountains. A great and mighty army appears. All of the nations that are going to be coming together for the War of Armageddon. NATO and its allies against the Russians and their allies. Nothing like it has been seen before or will ever be seen again. So this war that's coming, nothing like it has been seen before, and we're never going to see another war like this again, because this war is going to be the war of all wars. Remember what Ezekiel said? I always say Ezekiel, right? But I know it's Isaiah. I always say Ezekiel chapter 9, but it's Isaiah chapter 9. This is what Isaiah says. Right, he made it clear. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, right? Because normally close combat fighting, right? Shields, spears, swords, you know, even when they had the guns with the bayonets on the fronts and everything, right? And garments rolled in blood, right, on the battlefield. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. This battle, what battle is that? This battle here. Where it says here, nothing like it has been seen before will ever be seen again. It's talking about this battle that's going to be, but this battle, the War of Armageddon, World War III, shall be with burning and fuel of fire. This is what Isaiah is referring to. This is what the prophet Joel is referring to, that we're never going to see something like this again. Daniel says the same thing, 12:1. It says, fire burns in front of them and flames follow after them. What are those? Those are the missiles that are going to be fired during this war, all right? Ahead of them, the land lies as beautiful as the Garden of Eden. So before those missiles hit their destination, so before they hit America, because America to the world is considered the Garden of Eden, right? It's the place everyone wants to go to. America. It's still considered the beacon of democracy and the place where everyone wants to go to, right? To get this better life and the American dream. It's referred to as, in a sense, as the Garden of Eden. This beautiful place, America. Well, this is what it says there. Ahead of those missiles, the land lies. What land is that? Babylon the Great, the United States of America. As beautiful as the Garden of Eden. Behind them is nothing but desolation. Not one thing escapes. Because after those medals, after those missiles hit Babylon the Great, America, during the War of Armageddon, it's going to become like nothing. Desolation. But the war itself is going to begin in the Middle East, in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, Joel chapter 3, the Valley of Decision, the Valley of the Most High's Judgment, Isaiah 34, the Lord is gathering all of the nations, Ezekiel 38 and 39 tells you about Gog and Magog that's coming down from the north sides, is coming down to Israel. This is where it's all going to take place. It says they look like horses, they charge forward like war horses, right? Talking about that intercontinental ballistic missiles, right? Remember, horse is symbolic for power. When you have a car, you say it's 300 horsepower, 400 horsepower. If you have a boat, you say it's 200 horsepower, 300 horsepower. Horses is symbolic for the power of these missiles, right? It says here, look at them as they leap along the mountaintops. The missiles, because these are guided missiles. Listen to the noise they make. They make like a whistling noise coming through the air, like the rumbling of a chariot, like the rumbling of a chariot, like the roar of fire sweeping across a field of stubble, or like a mighty army moving into the battle. This is what they're going to be. They're going to be set in array. It's like I know in the King James, it says, as a strong people set in battle array, all right? This is talking about the missiles. These are guided missiles. They're going to be like a mighty army moving into the battle, all right? Now, the missiles are going to be fired in the Middle East, but the nuclear missiles are going to come to America and other cities around the world that are going to possess nuclear missiles. And Israel is going to be destroyed also by nuclear missiles and the chariots of the Lord. I can't stipulate this enough. But this is what's going to happen to all you women that are going to be shaking their ass to the battlefield, right? Fear grips all the people. Every face grows pale with terror. That is what's going to happen. They're going to be terrified because they're not just going to be in the midst of a conventional war where conventional missiles are going to be fired and, artillery and cluster bombs and drones. They're going to be in the midst of all of that. And then in the midst of that, the nukes are going to be dropped. And they're going to see the nukes. In the Middle East, they're going to see a nuke hit Israel. They're going to see the mushroom cloud. Then they're going to hear that the nukes are on their way home. So when they're thinking about they're going to leave that war, the battlefield, they're going to be taken home back to America. There's not going to be no home for any of those soldiers that go to the Middle East from America, from NATO, to go back to. There's not going to be the land of the brave and whatever they call it, the brave and I forget what they call it, right? The land of the brave is going to be gone. But they're going to hear about this on the battlefield in the Middle East, in the midst of the war that they're going to be fighting in the Middle East. They're going to hear that it's going to be gone. Then they're going to see the chariot. Even the chariots are going to bring terror to them. The chariots are what they refer to as UFOs and UAPs, what the angels and the Lord himself is going to appear in. And Michael the archangel, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. It says here, the attackers march like warriors. What are those attackers? Those are the missiles. All right, those are what the attackers are, the missiles, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, like warriors, and scale city walls like soldiers. Straight forward they march, never breaking rank. They're not going to break their rank because they're not just guided missiles. The Lord is going to put the spirit on them. Believe me when I tell you, the Lord's going to make put the spirit on these missiles that they all hit their targets. Even if the Americans try to jam the satellite dish so they don't, if America jams the satellite disk that the Russians are using to guide these missiles, the Lord is going to put the spirit on them to hit their target. They're not going to break their rank. Why? Because it is all Bible prophecy. Ultimately, it says they never jostle against each other. So they're not going to crash into each other, these missiles. They're not going to be jostling with each other because they're guided missile, right? It says each moves exactly the right position. You understand? Because they are guided intercontinental ballistic nuclear missiles. They're going to be moving exactly in the right positions. They break through defenses. The Americans are going to be firing anti-air missiles to try to take them down at the sky, but they're going to break the defenses because the Most High is going to put the spirit on them not to break rank, to move exactly in the right positions, to dodge the anti-air missiles that the Americans are going to be firing to try to take them down, and then they're going to hit their targets: Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Texas, Arizona, Iowa, California, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, San Antonio, Boston, Philadelphia, Florida, all of the Midwest. No one's going to be spared. They're going to break through the defenses without missing a step. All praises to Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua. All praises. They swarm over the city. What city is that? Babylon the Great. That's the city that they're going to swarm over, the missiles, and run along its walls. They enter all the houses, climbing like thieves through the windows. They're going to be destroying all of it, your buildings, your shopping centers, your government buildings, your projects, your everything that you've got built in America, your Disney Worlds, your hotels, your leisure centers, your golf courses, your stadiums. They're all going to go up in smoke, family. I'm just telling you what the Bible says. This is Bible prophecy. The Lord has found us fit to receive his prophecies through the Spirit, through the powers of the Holy Spirit, to understand what's been actually said in the Bible, what's going to take place in these last days. It says there, the earth quakes. There you go. It's self-explanatory. That's what's going to cause the earth to quake, are these nuclear missiles. As they advance and the heavens tremble, the sun and the moon grow dark from the mushroom cloud, and the stars no longer shine, because the mushroom cloud, so when the missiles hit their target, you're going to see the mushroom cloud is going to block out the sun and the light. That's what you must understand. If I was to show you, you keep shaking your asses, women, because you're going straight to the battlefield. I'll show you a mushroom cloud. Let's say you understand. images, mushroom cloud. This is what's going to cause the darkness. This here, what you see here, mushroom cloud. This is what's going to cause it, family. Just want you to understand. When these missiles hit, this is what's the outcome. The mushroom cloud, this is what's going to stop the sun from shining, the darkness, and the stars from giving off their bright lights. Just so you understand. All right? So it says, the sun and the moon grow dark from the mushroom clouds, and the stars no longer shine from these mushroom clouds. That's what's going to happen. From these nuclear missiles, that's what's going to cause the darkness. You're going to get the bright light when the fire, and then the mushroom clouds are going to take over. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be a beautiful day, because this is the only way the kingdom can be established. If you truly believe in the scriptures, if you're a Hebrew Israelite, and you truly believe in the word of the Most High and His Son, Yahushua, and the prophets, what you must truly understand, without a doubt, that this has to take place before the Lord comes. Because the Lord, Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, is going to come in the midst of all of this. All right? So it says here, the Lord is at the head of the column. He leads them with a shout. What is he leading? The missiles. This is the mighty army, all right? And they follow his orders. The army, the mighty army, are the nuclear missiles that are going to be fired. Because missiles are going to be fired in retaliation to Russia and China. Don't get this twisted. There will be other cities around the world that possess nuclear weapons or that are considered a target will be hit. But the main place to be destroyed is Babylon the Great, America, and Israel. Those are the two places that are going to be totally destroyed. One of them is going to be rebuilt up. It's going to be part of the promised land, which is Israel, whereas the other one is going to stay desolate forever for the desert animals. That's America, Babylon the Great. But those are the two main places that are going to be totally destroyed by nuclear fire and the chariots of the Lord and the angels, because they're going to complete the destruction of these two places. But one place will be rebuilt up, which is Israel, because that's part of the promised land, but it has to be purified by fire first. And the other place, Babylon the Great, America, will never be inhabited by humans again, just by the wild animals of the desert. Right? Isaiah chapter 13 and I think 24 and 13 and Revelations will tell you about that, and Ezekiel. It says, this is his mighty army. They follow his orders. The day of the Lord, Yahweh, is an awesome, you see. That's how we see it. Don't hate us for prophesying the truth of what the Bible actually says. Don't hate the messenger. If you want to hate the message, that's up to you. But don't hate the messenger. They say don't hate the player, hate the game. Well, this ain't a game, family. And we're not players. We are prophets. We are messengers. All right? Now, if you want to hate the message, that's up to you. But don't hate the messenger, because we see this the same way. We see it's going to be an awesome day. Beautiful word that the NLT used. The day of the Lord is awesome. Terrible thing. Who can possibly survive? Because the only people that are going to survive in America are the elect of Israel. They're going to be delivered out of the destruction. Just the elect of the 12 tribes. The elites have already left. They're gone. They've gone to their bunkers. They've left the country. Only the elect of the children of Israel, of the 12 tribes of the Hebrew Israelites, not all of them, just the elect, are going to be delivered. They're the only survivors of that destruction in Babylon the Great. And they'll be the only survivors in the land of Israel. If there's any elect of the children of Israel in the actual country of Israel, they will be delivered out of the destruction of Israel as well. And anywhere else around the world where a nuclear missile will strike. If there are the elect of Israel in those cities where missiles are going to be hit, the Lord will deliver them out of those cities. That's what the angels are coming to do alongside Yahushua and Michael before they take on the nations. It says, who can possibly survive? Only the elect. It says here, a call for repentance. All praises to Yahweh. Listen, I'm going to finish it there, right? Because I didn't really want to go too deep into this. Didn't need to. I just really wanted to get you understand. They're going to be shaking their asses to the battlefield. It's as simple as that. I can't say no more. You know, all of this, what do you call it? All of this mirth is coming to an end.
CBS Mornings.
All of this mirth. That's all.
Despite the rockets,
month.
Ukraine's nightlife is rocking. The
All
bars
coming
and
money.
clubs are full. And it's
All
not
this
just
money.
here. Fun fact,
showing you
there are
Ukraine.
now more bars and restaurants in the capital than before the start of the invasion.
Shake your ass to the battlefield. You're gonna shake your ass to the battlefield. That's what she's gonna be doing. They're gonna draft her. She's gonna be shaking her ass to the battlefield. That's Ukraine. So the draft is in. Simple. But it's coming to America. Anyway, we'll leave it there and give all the praise and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Hoshai, Hashem, Rakak, Dash, double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone, our teachers and our leaders in this spiritual warfare, in these mortal bodies that we possess. Like I said, it's going to be a great and awesome day, but it's going to be a terrible day for those that don't believe this is coming and those that are not going to expect it. Simple as that. But for the elect of Israel, it's going to be an awesome day. It's going to be a terrible day, but it's going to be an awesome day because we're looking forward to this. Because we know that's the only way the kingdom of heaven can be established upon earth. It's the only way the Lord can come back to establish a righteous kingdom in his Father's name on planet earth. So, shalom, shalom, shalom. As I always like to say, keep praying, keep safe, repent, and hold on to this truth. Because this is all we got, family. It's the truth. We're waiting for the Lord to come. Shalom.